Welcome to the Unbottled Podcast, the show where each week we go behind the label of dietary supplement manufacturing. I'm your host, Mark Bryant Esquire. Behind the scenes, we've got Danny.
Hello.
Hello, Danny. Today, we're going to talk about how to get a manufacturer to take on your supplement project, which is a great topic. I think.
Well, I agree. This is going to be a good show.
Yeah, be good.
A lot of people ask, how do I find a good supplement manufacturer? Or what makes the best supplement manufacturer? But just as important is the question, how do I get a supplement manufacturer to take on my project?
Yeah, to get a supplement manufacturer to really take a good look at, you'd want to make sure, I think the first piece would be to make sure that your formula is ready, or at least you have a really solid concept of what you want. If you're just kind of showing up with a category in mind and you think it's something that you could be passionate about, you may not be there just yet. Yeah. Your conversations should start with a manufacturer once you know what it is you want. So, for example, if you're going to look for, I'm just going to pick a category, say joint supplements. If you're going to look for joint supplements, you should kind of have about a 90% of the way there of what you think that formula is going to look like. Definitely the format. If it's a liquid, powder, capsule, gummy, whatever it is you're looking for, you should know that in advance. You should also know the key ingredients, like your hero ingredients that this product absolutely has to have these core ingredients in, likely these efficacious amounts. You also probably, it doesn't hurt to take a look at a couple of products that are on the market and maybe send a link to those and say, hey, here's 2 or 3 products that I really feel are pretty good, but they're deficient in this area. And so what can I do there? I think we can do this, and have that conversation with the manufacturer at that point. It's really hard for a manufacturer to probably take you too terribly seriously if you really don't know what you want yet. So that's a good starting point.
It's hard for a manufacturer to really give you an accurate quote. A lot of people reach out and they just want a quote.
Yep.
And it's really hard for us to give you a quote if we don't, and commit those resources to getting you a quote if you're still figuring out those basics.
Yeah. And we also, not to say that we don't want to quote things, but we want to be able to give you something that's going to be pretty accurate. And the more accurate you can be, the better you can compare manufacturers, what they're offering, if you're talking to a couple of manufacturers. So you want to make sure that you know what those are, so you're getting an apples to apples comparison. If you go into one manufacturer and they say, oh, this one we'll formulate it like this, and then you go to another manufacturer and they're like, oh, we'll put this out there. You may not, I don't know. It just feels kind of wonky. You need to really know what you're looking for.
So just have your formula finalized to the best of your ability.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Yeah. What next?
Oh, great question. So let's dive into this a little bit deeper. You also want to have a pretty good feel for where you want to start with your volume, meaning your quantity that you're looking for, and be very open and honest with that. Quite often we get people that are so not desperate.
Maybe excited.
Excited is a better word. That sounded very ominous. Like it sounded like that didn't sound good. They're just excited. People show up and they're passionate and they're like, we want to get 500 bottles of this. And if that manufacturer can't produce 500 bottles because there's constraints within their equipment or their ordering or whatever that looks like, you should need to know that up front. Quite often what happens though is in their excitement and their exuberance to want to get a quote, we'll come back and say, oh, we may not be a great fit for that quantity. And then they'll come back and be like, well, what is your quantity? And we'll say 10 million. And they're like, I could do 10 million, and they're just wanting to have that quote. And those aren't our MOQs at Canyonside Labs, but I'm just throwing that out there to really exaggerate that. But you just got to kind of know what you're looking for. There's fixed costs. So let's dive into that just really quickly. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because we're going to do an episode here in a couple
next. I think it's next week.
Oh, there we go. Talking about this in more detail as to why certain manufacturers have specific MOQs and on certain products. And I really want to dive in really deep right now, but I'm not going to. So there's just some constraints there. There's a lot of fixed costs in manufacturing, and depending on how complicated your product is or isn't, and what amounts and what that manufacturer may or may not be using regularly in their facility determines what they have to buy on their supply side to bring in, and they may not use it all for your product, but they don't have anybody else that they're going to make it for. Anyway, there's a lot of variables there. And if you're having a nice open conversation with the manufacturer, they will be transparent with that. And so just be open to what they have to say.
What should my gross margin be?
All right. 60 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 60 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, just a minute.
Danny's keeping me on a clock, so we stay really focused.
Okay. 60 seconds starting now.
Go. This will vary largely dependent upon the quantity that you're ordering. So when you're when you're just getting started and you're at that lower quantity as you're ramping up, your multiplier is going to feel less than it will be once you actually get to quantity. So when you're first starting out, make sure you get tiered pricing based on quantity from your manufacturer. So once you're doing 10, 20, 30, 50,000 units, you're typically at those numbers, you're going to probably be about 4 or 5x of what those numbers are, which means when you're at that smaller amount, say 2,500 units, you're not going to get 4 or 5x
You're looking at
multipliers out of that, right?
2x.
You could, hopefully you're breaking even. You're not losing much, but some go in and they know they're going to lose money for a little while and they're fine with it and they're ramping up. But typically you want to know those higher volumes and be able to do about 4x, 5x.
That was good. That was 66 seconds.
Oh,
But you did good.
I'll do better next time.
Is there a margin where you would be like, this isn't even worth doing? Like if they're coming in at 2 times, so I'm trying to sell my joint supplement for $25 to come right in between the $20 and $30 range, because there's some out there that are selling for 30, there's some selling for 20. I want to come right in the middle. $25 is what I want to sell it for, but I talked to a supplement manufacturer. I want 2,500 units, and that's going to cost me $12. So I'm kind of writing a 2x.
Sure.
Is there a time where you would tell a customer you're not going to get? Yeah,
it's going to be different every product. I would suggest that maybe there's a possibility if you're starting out at a $12 product and you're selling it for $25. The chances of you ever getting that down to $4 is not going to be part of the equation, even at likely 50, 100,000 units, right? That's never going to happen. You reach a point of diminishing returns where it doesn't matter if you order, 100,000 or 100 million. It's like it's pennies at that point, right? Like, so, that's that's tough.
No, but that answers my question. Like, if they're coming in at $12, they're planning on selling it for 25, they are going to need to tweak that formula or find a different product altogether.
Maybe.
We didn't talk about packaging needs. Could you talk on that for just a few minutes, seconds?
So again, the word I just hate saying depends all the time, but everything all depends, right? There's a lot of stock packaging out there that you can get in lower MOQs, which is great. You'll see that all the time. I'm going to take like a white HDPE Packer style pill bottle. Like those are always available. You can get them anytime, but they sure aren't sexy, right? Like, I mean, if you're really looking for presentation is 90% of what I'm putting out there. You've got to go out and find custom packaging, and then custom packaging comes with a whole new sort of thing with MOQs. Because then they're getting into designing a mold, right? They're doing this mold, and it's got to be shaped a certain way, and they're doing and then the design work, and then the molds are really expensive, and all the things. Now, I kind of downplayed how nice you can make a little white bottle look. But there's ways to make things look a little fancier. But typically on the lower MOQs, it's going to be a tough sell to do too terribly much. Now, if you want to go all in packaging, then go all in on packaging. It doesn't mean you have to fill every single bottle with product, right? You can, if your MOQ on a certain bottle is with a packaging manufacturer is 25,000 units, we don't have to fill 25,000 units. We just have those for the next run. But that's just more of the upfront cost.
This is important too, letting your manufacturer know upfront if you have a packaging style that is not very common. We had somebody reach out to us not too long ago. They wanted a powder product in a spouted gusset bag. Mm-hmm. Have you seen those before?
Yeah.
So letting us know that type of information, letting your manufacturer know that upfront, that if there's some kind of packaging that has some kind of special
Yep.
whatever. When somebody comes to present their project, do they need to prepare a project brief? What's the
That
best way
sure
to
is helpful, right? When a potential brand shows up and they've got this nice little docket, not like necessarily even a slideshow, but if they've got a nice PDF that has some pages and some pictures and some things that's got a formula on there. I joke often that sometimes guys on a golf weekend, they get together and they're out drinking monsters and playing golf and do whatever they're doing. And they're like, we could be the next Monster Energy or 5 Hour Energy. And maybe they could. But then one of the guys is calling manufacturers Monday morning after the golf weekend and like, well, they haven't put a ton of thought into that yet. And I'm not saying they can't do it. There's a chance. But you get more manufacturer buy-in if you come prepared. And if that happens, that sure feels nice, right? As a manufacturer, like, oh, all right, let's see if we can help these guys. I can, because then we can see your vision. We can see what that looks like.
What are the bare minimum things that you need to know when they're presenting to you?
Knowing the formula is a big deal. So that's always a nice component. Have a nice little, and it doesn't have to be too fancy even. Just here's the 5, 6, 7, 8 ingredients. Here's the amounts that per serving that we think would be efficacious to make this product really awesome. It also, if you have some packaging examples that you saw online, again, the internet has all the stuff. So you can go out there and search and be like, ooh, I love that. Like, I'd like something like that. It doesn't have to be this because you don't want to copy, but it gives the manufacturer idea of like, okay, we can work with this. It also is helpful to know some stuff of like where you really would like to start with your MOQs. Like what are you thinking? What are your forecasts? Maybe anything that you can provide as far as quantities and ongoing
timeline.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah.
Like
we want to
how soon do you
launch
need this?
in 3 to 6 months. Well, if our lead time is 3 months or 90 days, then we got to start making product tomorrow. So if you're coming and you're thinking, oh, it's got a little bit of time there, that's always really helpful.
What about target audience or anything like that? Like those aren't things we have to know to be able to produce, but
it's helpful.
It's kind of nice to know that they've done the research.
What's your distribution channels that you're considering? There might be some things that if you're deciding we really want to get this into Whole Foods, well, then we got to talk about some things that are on their no-no list, right?
Yes.
So we can't use any of those things in your product. Or if there's some things that you're just like, oh, we're just going to go directly on Amazon and here's what we're going to do. Okay, that's helpful to know what that those additional testing steps might look like. And we're happy to share what that we do it all the time. So we'd love to share that with you. And so you're prepared. It's not surprising. Everything's ready and you make sure that's the direction you want to go. So those are the basics. I would think those are kind of the core things that are really helpful.
What are some things that Mark looks at for an ideal presentation?
So the ones that I've seen that have had a lot of success, and this goes back to like earlier stages of my career, is if you have a face with your brand, that's always really helpful, especially as we get more down the road of technology and we start to lose connection. I've seen a lot of people that have started out with a YouTube channel and they were just doing free content. It was educational. There was no sales involved for, in some cases, years. And then all of a sudden their audience started to clamor for something. I'm not saying you have to invest years and don't make your product for years.
How long have you been on YouTube?
Yeah, right.
Okay, we can't talk.
Right. Give it a couple more years. You look at a lot of the brands that have had success in recent years, it's come from a point of some authenticity. And it's just nice to know that, oh, these are the people that have created this product. So that's always a plus. If you have a background in that category or have done it before, right? If somebody shows up and like, yeah, we just launched product X 5 years ago and we exited
sold it off
for $100 million. And you're like, well, I think I would be interested in talking to you further about your next project. Those are obviously very, very rare, but experience in the industry, knowing the CPG space and what that might look like is always really is good. And it doesn't mean that the person who had the idea has that stuff, but if you have somebody on your team, that's good to know. You're like, okay, we've got somebody that knows the distribution and how this should play out.
What about somebody who started a business, grown that business, sold that off? Not even in the CPG space.
Sure.
Do you see them being successful?
Yeah, that is always, and I don't want to discredit anybody who's just getting started because a lot of people will start these types of projects as as a side hustle and it turns out to be amazing, go for it. But some experience is helpful. When you see that, it's kind of like, okay, they know the conversations we're about to have and they're pretty comfortable with those things. But it's also really fun having those conversations with somebody that is just learning and they're just soaking it in. So if I'm going to go back to the original question, which is like, what are things that really stand out for me? If you have passion and you're organized and prepared, yes, like let me help you. I often tell people too, if it's not something that we can do at Canyonside Labs, I've been doing this a long enough time. I'm happy to point you in the right direction because I want you to be successful. And if it's a product that we feel is efficacious, not just fairy dust levels of things for marketing purposes, like, oh, we're going to sprinkle some this in. Just because we want to put that on our label. If it's a really solid product, that is good for everybody in the industry. That's good for us. More people believe in supplements because of efficacious doses and because they work. All that stuff just really like makes you feel awesome and you just want to help. So I don't want to discourage anyone. If you've got a dream and you're ready to go, let's have the conversation. There's a relationship and some trust that's built on both sides. Like a brand should interview the manufacturer. The manufacturer should also be interviewing and make sure, yeah, we can really do this for you. If not, we hope you at this time, for whatever reason, but we think we could do something in the future. You mentioned like their quantity was low and we weren't aligned at that point. Talk to us when you're ready if you feel like we've been a good resource for you.
Perfect. Okay, you ready for a 60-second?
Oh.
So these are questions that I should be asking. What questions should I be asking my manufacturer? I'm going to ask you the question, and then I'm going to hit the start button.
Okay.
We're going to see how easy it is to answer. You ready?
Yep. Go.
How do I know that my manufacturer is making the product that they say they are making? Go.
Oh, testing. Testing's always going to tell you all the things. And nowadays you want that third-party analysis of your product. We tried to bring stuff in-house a while back to do all the lab testing and because it speeds things up, right? We're able to control that and do those. But we found so many of our customers loved having that third party. And honestly, we did too. So it's not just us telling you, we just made you a really awesome product. It's, hey, we made you this really awesome product. And this lab tested it and verified that it is a really awesome product. It's made to your spec. It's done all the things. We've checked all the boxes. So I think that's really, and certifications, if you're specific, the gold standard is having your GMP certificate. The gold standard within GMP is NSF, like an NSF audit. There's different agencies, these third-party agencies that step in and come in and verify that we're doing everything right. NSF's a big one. UL, there's a handful of them.
And time is up. That was a really good, actually. And you kind of answered another question, which was, what are the absolute musts to a good co-manufacturer? And one of those might be...
A twofer.
Yeah. So
all right.
I should have given you more time because of that.
I think that was probably plenty. But
I'm not going to, though.
The certifications and the testing tells you that they're doing things right. Because you test for all the stuff, heavy metals, potency, identification, microbials, like all that stuff gets tested. And if they're passing, the bar and they give you a certificate of analysis that's saying that's the stamp. All of our suppliers, we have to audit those to make sure that they're legitimate and not just some guy that's got a brother over in another country and they import, export. And these are companies that do that. They bring in the materials. They have all the documentation from direct from the manufacturer. And that's just one example of all the things that happen in GMP to make sure that manufacturer is doing everything right. And so that's a big deal.
We'll definitely do a show about GMP certifications and what that means for a manufacturer and for a brand.
Yeah, and you can put that on your label, right? So if you can say manufactured in a GMP certified facility.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
Okay, you're ready. Okay. Question number 2.
Yep.
What are the standard contracts to have in place with a manufacturer?
We offer a manufacturing agreement, which most manufacturers should do. And that just kind of outlines the nature of the relationship, meaning we send you a product spec sheet. It says all the things on there. You agree and sign, yes, this is the spec, this is the bottle, this is what we're doing, these are the dates, these are the things. Ask for whatever you feel comfortable with, but that's kind of the basics, I think.
So at the very minimum, some kind of a manufacturing contract.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yep.
All right. And the last question, since you answered the other one already,
Okay.
what questions can I ask a manufacturer to ensure that I am not getting gouged on price?
Well, it never hurts to get a couple of estimates. It's good to have a couple because that's going to tell you some things, right? If they're all within, $1 of each other on the estimate side, then that's, okay, that's probably the price. You're probably not getting gouged. If you get these outrageous swings where somebody quoted you $5 and somebody else quoted you $10, we say sometimes that's I don't want to take this on price, or there's a significant gap there, and then you probably aren't getting an apples to apples comparison. Maybe somebody's quoting you based on powders, botanical powders, and someone's quoting you based on botanical extracts. And so that's going to be more expensive. It's always good to just review all those things, but you get a couple estimates and you'll have a pretty good idea.
Oh, that was a really good answer. It did go over 60 seconds. I apologize, but it's because I was so into the answer that I let it go.
You are lying.
So you're all welcome. Okay, real quick. What are some things that are automatic, like we're not a good fit?
On the manufacturing side, if the expectations just seem unrealistic right out of the gate, like I need this product for $4, doesn't matter. Like it's got to be $4. Well, if the raw materials are more than that, like, we can see that, right? We put it together and we're like, this is going to be at least double that just for the raw materials. Then you're like, well, if you're wanting something really quickly, meaning you show up to a manufacturer and say, you've never made this product for me before. It's about to be on the industry. I'm about to get it on the market.
Yeah.
It's going to be the next big thing. I need it in 3 weeks.
How about somebody that comes to you and is, hey, why can't I just get a quote?
Oh, good
I
question.
just need a quote. I've already picked a manufacturer. I just need a quick quote,
Yeah.
To make sure, kind of like you were saying, to make sure that I'm not paying too much.
Yeah. So typically I have a little rule that I like to operate by, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it works for me. At least it helps to get my attention. Is I'd like to see who you are. So as quickly as we can determine through the initial engagement of an email or two, if it feels like this could go somewhere, I like to have an actual let's hop on Zoom and have a conversation for a minute. That makes a big deal to us, and I think it should make a big deal to the brand to know who they're talking to. And so for me, that's if somebody doesn't want to have that conversation, they're not willing to take the time. Well, it can take a manufacturer, many, many hours to put together a quote. And we usually do a quick quote. So we're kind of just giving you a ballpark to make sure, if you thought this product was going to be $5, but we can tell right out of the gate it's going to be $10, that's a big gap to cover. So we like to do that first. But if all the things are aligned, you still don't want to hop on a quick call and actually spend 10 minutes together. That's a tough one because that's going to tell you a little bit about the relationship ongoing, right?
Yeah.
And we want it to feel, we want that brand to be successful. And it just feels like we should get to know each other a little bit.
Is it a problem if somebody comes to you and they let you know up front, price is all that matters on this product? I need to get it to this price. I don't know if that's a great way to put it.
That's a...
What does that tell you, I guess, as a manufacturer, when somebody's like, you know what? Price is the most important thing to me. And that's okay to know.
As soon as price is the most important thing, and I'm going to err on the side of we're talking nickels, right? Like if it's the difference between you've had a relationship with a manufacturer for several years and all of a sudden you found it somewhere, they found it somewhere else for 5 cents cheaper and they're willing, and that relationship with the original manufacturer is still in good condition, but you're willing to jump ship for 5 cents. And maybe that manufacturer should, if there's 5 cents to give, maybe they should consider that. But if it's a big number and that's why they're changing, because I've seen that before where somebody's been working with a manufacturer for a while and then they're like, I feel like this might be higher than I should be paying. And so they kind of reach out and you're like, yeah, we conservatively could do this for $2 a bottle less. And then that's got, if you're selling 100,000 units a month, that's, another $200,000 in a brand's pocket, right? That's a big deal. So, but yeah, if it's the only thing, I would think if I had a manufacturer that I really felt, oh God, I sure like these guys and they do everything right and they're checking all the boxes for me and it's 10 cents more. And the other one's kind of like, I don't know if I really want to, but it's 10 cents less to go with those guys. To me, I would rather be really nice and comfortable and enjoy working with, we've got to work, right?
Yeah.
We're working, so we might as well enjoy each other. And it feels like that gap could be bridged.
Absolutely. If you've got a good enough you should have a good enough relationship with your manufacturer that you can go to them and say, you guys, I got a quote from somebody. They're doing it for 10 cents less. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Anyway.
You don't want to commoditize the relationship either.
Yes.
And now I'm just telling you, well, I love you and you've been great, but
yeah,
this is a very rare set of circumstances. It feels like if they've already had a brand's already had a relationship, because they can have that open conversation of, hey, is there any way we can find a way? And there might be a way, just better forecasting, all the things to like stay there. But it should probably be noted that relationships are important, because at some point you should always trust your manufacturer. But at some point, you may think, oh, I could have got by and saved a few pennies over here, whatever that number is. When the stuff hits the fan or something gets sideways, and that happens in manufacturing, whether it's cars or supplements or something, like supply chain issue, whatever, you really want that manufacturer to just think your brand is just everything, right? And so those relationships are so important. And I would think that any manufacturer is a good manufacturer is going to go to bat no matter what. But solutions can be found when you're being united. A relationship helps. It just helps.
I love it. All right, we're down to final thoughts.
Okay.
I've been told that my MOQs are too low. What can I do?
Taking that question, are you asking it from like the brand is reaching out to a manufacturer, and the manufacturer and the brand,
And they said,
God, I'd love to help you, but we need to be at a certain level.
Yeah, we need our MOQ for this product is going to be about 5,000, and they're like, I only need, I can only afford. It's usually that I can only afford 500. It's not that I only need that. They'd love to be able to sell 5,000.
Yeah,
but I can only afford 500. What do I do?
Yeah, that's hard. We tend to tell people that we will give an estimate at whatever quantity it is you would like. But on the lower end of that, you just are going to hate the price, right? And so if somebody were to come in, we'll quote you 500, but there's so many fixed costs in manufacturing that you can't spread it out if there's not enough units. And so if it's a certain dollar amount to set up a machine and we're only making 500 bottles, then we can only spread that cost across 500 bottles. But if it's the exact same cost, like hard cost, and you're going to make 50,000 bottles, well, now we get to spread that exact same, we'll say it was $100 to set that up. Now I get to spread that across 100,000 units, right? Like that's just tough. And so I don't know that I have a great answer there. If there's companies out there that do stock products, and if you have a category, and this doesn't answer the question very well, but if you have a category that you're wanting to get in, sometimes there might be something out there that another brand makes. They readily keep it on hand. It's not original to your brand, but there's going to be another 50 or 100 brands out there that have the same exact product with their label on it. But it might create the barrier to entry, set the bar a little bit lower. And if you can market around that and then eventually build up your following to the point where you're ready to get into larger quantities and do a custom thing, then you can do a new and improved or a whatever that looks like. I know that's a terrible answer. But
No, I think that's a great answer, because it's a solution. It's one of the ideas.
Yeah,
One of the solution. I've always thought too, like before trying to sell it to a manufacturer, go sell it to somebody else. That idea to somebody else. Get some investment in there.
You're bringing up a great point, and I've even had people that have reached out there. They are just getting started, so 100% pure startup. And this goes back to the YouTube conversation. They were just providing education and content on things. And you see that a lot in the fitness space, right? Where somebody's, you don't need this, you do need this, you need it in this amount, blah, blah. This particular individual was doing something like that. They were just showing people how to do it, but their audience didn't want to go and do the same thing, right? Because they thought they were going to mess it up. Something was going to be bad. I don't trust myself. Am I weighing the right amounts? So all the things. And so this person decided, hey, you know what? I reached out to a manufacturer. Their MOQ was 2,500 units for this pre-workout. Again, this is not the exact story. But if I can sell 2,500 units of this, like I'll place the order, and as soon as it's ready in 12 weeks, I'll send it out to you. Kind of like it did his own Kickstarter, right? And lo and behold, sold 2,500 units, and then reached out and was like, "We're ready. Like I've sold my stuff. I've pre-sold all my stuff." What a great running start that is, right? Like, now again, that person had been doing stuff for a long time and educating people for a long time, and people bought into that person because there wasn't any selling. There's lots of ways to be really creative and to get out there and try to make it happen.
And how much does that boost your confidence that you've got a good product if you've pre-sold?
Oh,
you've gone out and you've talked to people. You're like, so anyway, just those are great.
Just options, yeah.
I apologize. We're going to make this a 60-second response. You ready? I need help finalizing my formula. What resources are available, and is it appropriate to call a manufacturer and get help from them? Go.
I'm going to start at the end. Yes, it's absolutely appropriate to get help from a manufacturer, because a manufacturer does this all the time, and they should be able to tell you the constraints or maybe some things you hadn't thought of that could make it that could enhance the product. So, but it's hard to go in blind to a manufacturer. So if there's a couple things out there, and we mentioned this earlier, if there's some things out there that you're like 75, 80, 90% of the way there, and you're just needing those final things, then go have the conversation, because they can finish walking you through that.
Dude,
was that 30
awesome.
seconds?
That was 30 seconds.
Yes.
All right. We are done for today,
Wow.
but we are getting together next week.
Yeah.
But we do want to tell everybody, please, before you go, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you're on a platform that does that, to be notified when the shows are posted. We would like to answer any questions you have. You can put those questions in the comments, and you can email us. You can email us at info@canyonsidelabs.com, and we'll answer those questions.
Yeah, that's great. We hope to hear from you.
Yeah.
This is fun.
And next week, we're going to be talking about what is an MOQ and how does it affect my product pricing, which we touched on a little bit today. But we'll dive deeper and explain what that looks like, and probably have some graphics that we can share and really break it down. So it'll be awesome. All right. I think that's it.
All right. Till next time.
We'll see you.
Be healthy.